Welcome to Gentle Restorative. My name is Sandra. Take a comfortable seat and close your eyes. Give me a deep inhale through the nose. Big exhale through the mouth. And then inhale, both arms up. Bring the palms together and release them home to your heart in prayer pose. We're pausing here to set an intention for our practice. When you're ready, go ahead and release the hands. Keep the eyes closed. We're pausing. As we sit here quietly, I want you to notice what is going on in your mind, what's going on in your body. I'm guessing some of us are ready to be on the mat and we're just, right? And I bet some of us are, let's get going. This is on my checklist. Come on, I don't want to sit here with what comes next. And then maybe there are some people who are somewhere in between that. Where are you? When you're ready, inhale, take the arms up, bring the palms together, exhale them back to the heart. Anjali Mudra. Just noticing your breath. Who else's breath are you going to notice, right? Noticing your breath. And some of these things that I'm saying right now that might sound peculiar, they're going to tie into the theme when I get to it, so bear with me. All right, when you're ready, release the arms. We're going to pick up that right leg, cradle it in, whatever that looks like for you. If that hip doesn't open very far, the leg might just be hovering over the earth. That's perfect, right? Sitting up straight, closing the eyes. If you want to add movement, you can. Deep inhale. Exhale, go ahead and set that leg down. Pick up the left leg. Remember to sit up tall through the spine. And then go ahead and release that leg back down. So let's come on over into table. I feel like moving a little bit, waking up my back. I hope you do too, although it'll stay gentle, I promise. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Use half of that exhale to take you to cat. The other half pushes you back towards child's pose. Drop the elbows, sweep the heart forward, come back up into cow. Exhale, cat to embryo or child's pose. Half your inhale is sliding forward. The other half lifts you into cow pose. Go ahead, give me two more. Remember, you're not hurrying to get through this. Slow down the breath. You'll end up in child's pose. Now, when you're ready, go ahead and pull yourself back up into table. Tuck the toes. Let's find our first down dog on the mat. As always, walk it out. Couple of deep breaths. And then let's take that right knee, slide it forward to come just underneath you. Roll onto the inner edge of that back foot. And let's see about opening that left arm up to the ceiling or possibly overhead. Up to you if you want to take that right foot out behind you for more support. But let's really lengthen here and get a good stretch. When you get to an exhale, gently make your way back to table. Realign everything, wiggle out the hips. When you're ready, tuck the toes, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And then it's the left knee that's going to come forward, plant right underneath us. Come on the inner edge of the back foot. Perhaps the right arm reaches for the ceiling. Maybe it reaches overhead. Maybe it's staying connected to the earth. Lengthen out and breathe. When you get to an exhale, go ahead and make your way back to table slowly. Wiggle this out again. And then we'll set up a restorative pose. We need to give those wrists a break. So when you're ready, walk your way backwards. And let's find our props. We're going to set up a supported child's pose. However you want that to be for you. Once you get in place and close your eyes, do some wiggling, make sure you're happy there. And I'll tell you about our theme for today. So I learned something new this morning. Okay, I can hear you laughing already. Yes, I'm able to learn something new. I like to play Solitaire. That's not new. And, I have one of those apps on my phone that probably has like 60 different variations of Solitaire. And this morning, I got curious about how are there 60 variations? I'm sure there's more, but what is the deal with that? And so when I looked up the history of Solitaire, what I found was that that is not the original name of the game that we all picture, right? Laying out your cards and playing by yourself. That's the American name for the game. But I didn't know this. Solitaire, of course, relates to solitary, being alone, playing the game alone, right? Also references other games that you could play by yourself. So I didn't make that association. To me, Solitaire is always the card game. But the original definition or name of the game which comes from I think it was mid-1700s. It was first referenced in a German book called the Book of Games, but it had, the French translation was patience. So the game used to be called Patience. Now, the definition of patience, if you look it up, has to do with waiting for something to perhaps happen, waiting for a span of time. Here's the key part: without frustration. So waiting something out, remaining calm. Okay, this gets even more interesting in my tangled mind. The Norwegian and Polish translation of the game, the name they have for the game, in English is secret knowledge. And then, I misspoke. It was the Britain definition. They call it patience. The French definition translates to success. So I thought all those words were really interesting: patience, success, and secret knowledge. So could we say that there's this secret knowledge perhaps in learning, and this is a learned practice, how to be patient, how to sit back with calm, how to sit back and wait without getting agitated or frustrated. And in doing so, that leads to our success. So I just thought it was so interesting that the meaning of all of those words and different names for that one game, which is about you, right? Just about you, because you can only play it with yourself, had all of this great insight. When I thought about the definition of patience and sitting back and waiting calmly, my mind then jumped to, the Bhagavad Gita and one of the main themes of action versus inaction. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about that too. We've talked about it before. So how this is going to relate to the yoga mat, I want you to imagine that your yoga practice is a game of solitaire. Your yoga practice should always be about you and for you on the mat. When we get into a big classroom with a lot of yogis, I think, especially when we're new yogis, we compare a lot. We look around, we're not sure if we're doing things right, and we make comparisons about our poses, when in fact, your yoga practice should be a game of solitaire. It should be a game of patience, sitting back, watching the breath, challenging yourself when it's appropriate to make certain moves, and knowing when not to. So, right now, you're in a solitary child's pose. It's all about you. And when I said, wiggle around and make sure you're happy, I hope you did that, because if the restorative pose isn't for you, who's it for? Right? It's not for me. I'm not even doing it. I'm talking to you. So when you're in the pose, it has to be solely for you, and it has to be what you want it to be, and it has to be what you need it to be. And you're going to need to invoke patience, because if your mind goes to, wait, I've seen this pose done before and it looked like this, where's the patience in allowing your body to develop in the pose? And perhaps you might consider that that isn't how the pose is supposed to look. So that's the theme in a nutshell. I think I just threw it all at you at once, but I was, I don't know, I just loved the connection of the meanings of all of those different names for the game, especially secret knowledge. So let's imagine we're discovering the secret on our mat today. This is going to be the secret to what your body needs, to what your mind needs. And you're the only one who has that key. It is certainly not I. All right, give me a deep inhale. Let it go. We're going to slowly make our way back up. Move those props out of the way. Now let's find table again. So as you set the alignment for table, and you lengthen out the spine, which means you're lengthening out the neck, which means you have to be looking straight down between the hands. I want you to notice, well, I'm 99% sure I'm right, that you can only see your two hands on your yoga mat. So the pose, the practice, all about you and for you, and recognizing what you need. Slow inhale to cow. Slow exhale into cat. Gently come back to table. And let's go ahead and stretch out both legs. I feel like stretching. I know plank is not a gentle or restorative pose, so if you want to keep your knees down, go ahead. I just felt like stretching. And if the practice is about you, you have to do what you want to. So if you want to keep the knees down, I am all for it. Just make sure you're a straight line between the shoulders and the knees. If you want to come to plank and rock this out with me for a moment, let's do it. And then wherever you're at, knees up or knees down, give me a big inhale. Exhale is chaturanga. Elbows are tucked in toward the ribs. Untuck the toes, gentle lift into whatever cobra unfolds before you, Bhujangasana, and then hold it and breathe. So here's where we're calling upon patience. Settle into the pose. Recognize that the pose doesn't have to look like mine or anybody else's. So if you want to stay down here, stay down there. Keep breathing. And then frankly, the success in the pose comes from you knowing where to stop. Where I am right now is not the success in the pose for anybody except for me right now. And some days it's certainly not up here. So listen to your body. Give me a big inhale. Exhale, it slowly come down. Take that right forearm across the mat in front of you so you can lift up and perch upon it. Left hand's reaching back for that left foot. Gently, gently. If this is too much on the low back, drop down. Left hand right on top of that left foot, if it'll get there. It might not. And then elbow up towards the ceiling if it can do that. If this is the way you're grabbing the leg and that's, you know, the shoulder's not opening up anymore, I'm good with that. That's where it's supposed to be. And that is the key. That's the success. That's the secret knowledge. All right. Deepen the breath. And then let's slowly release that leg. Other side. Take your time getting there. When you get to an exhale, go ahead and let go. Come on back forward to reverse Shavasana. Relax and close your eyes. All right, come back up on those elbows for a moment. I'm going to give you an option here. Option A, without any props, is going to be a little more challenging on the shoulders. So I'll show it to you first, and then we'll add props, and you can decide where you're happy. All I'm going to do is thread the right arm underneath the left and come down on top of that right shoulder. My head is going to rest on something. So it could be your left hand. It could be a prop you slide over. If the shoulder doesn't like this, I want you to grab maybe your bolster and then a block. Now we've created all this extra space for the shoulder. So we can bring our ribs down on that bolster, then thread the arm underneath and hang out right here. So it's totally up to you. Figure out what you need. Once you settle in, make sure you've closed your eyes. You've done a body scan. You're happy right here. You're ready. Let's switch to the other side. Need a couple more breaths right there. When you're ready, go ahead and free that arm and make your way into a fetal position. So you can push your props out of the way. Just hang out there for a moment. Be patient. I found this quote. It's a very simple quote, anonymous author, and it simply says, patience is also a form of action. And I think that's important to recognize that when we are sitting back, we're kind of waiting, it doesn't mean we're not doing anything. In fact, being patient might actually be harder than moving forward. Easier to lash out sometimes than to sit back, release the frustration, and be calm, which means then, in order to be patient, we have to release our attachment to the outcome. Definitely talked about that before. All right, go ahead and push your way back up. So we're gonna get the feet planted on the mat, knees are bent, feet are hip distance apart. I'm gonna turn my fingers in towards me. Get those shoulders back and down. Make sure they're not holding up the head, right? Big inhale. Let's lift up into tabletop, wherever that might end up for you. Couple of deep breaths. And when you get to an exhale, bring the hips back down. So I'm going to give you some options here. You can create a vinyasa. So inhale, come on up. If you want to hold the breath and hold the pose, you can. Exhale, come back down, hold the pose, hold the breath. If you want to work a little bit and you want to work the triceps, then instead of coming all the way down in tabletop, bend into the elbows and create your vinyasa there, okay? I set you free, figure out what you want to do. Maybe it's a little of both. One more. When you finish that last one, shake the arms out. And then let's stretch the legs out in front of us. If you have a strap, let's grab it. If you don't worry about it. Strap users are going to lasso the ball of the right foot. If you don't have a strap, don't lasso the ball of the right foot. You're all good. You can still do this pose. All we're going to do is lift that right leg up. If you don't have a strap and you need some help, get those hands underneath the right thigh. So flex the foot. Breathe, sit up tall. Make sure you're not rounding out. So remember, we said patience is sitting without frustration. Are you frustrated with me right now? Let it go. You got this. Inhale. All right, exhale that leg down. Shake that leg out. Switch your strap over to the left foot if you're using one. When you're ready, sit up tall. Both feet are flexed. Lift that left leg. Breathe. No holding the breath. And if you're really struggling, why don't you get that left heel right up on top of the right toes? I think the right foot can count as a prop. Why not? All right, big inhale. Exhale that leg down. Shake them out. Let's take the legs into cobbler. Inhale, find your length. And exhale, let's come into a fold. So I'm going to come down on my elbows and take the hands into Agni Mudra, representing that fire element. And that's what's being activated, the fire element, the solar plexus, because we're coming into that fold. Fingers interlace except the two index fingers. So I want you to think about whatever part of the arms or hands are on the mat. So if you've got the elbows down on the mat, take your focus there. If it's your hands on the mat, take your focus there. Whichever part of the body is touching the mat, I want you to, without actually moving that part of the body, pull the mat towards you. So I've got my fingers gripping, I'm pulling that mat, I'm pulling that mat. Do you notice, and when you do that too with the forearms, elbows are pulling the mat, do you notice how the hips want to move forward, that should deepen the stretch for you. Lengthen the spine, keep that traction, breathe. And then slowly walk your way back up. From here, this could be option A if you want. Option B, we're going to take this into a balanced pose. So you're going to get your hands to go underneath your legs and lift up. Keep that back nice and long. Do you in the pose? We've already talked about this. So maybe the toes stay on the ground to help you find your balance. Maybe you just grab the ankles and you kind of test the waters about lifting the feet an inch off the mat. Follow those definitions of the games of solitaire, right? We have patience, we have success, and we have secret knowledge. One more breath, wherever you're at. Slowly release the legs. Let's get our bolster or a pillow out in front of us so we can get our knees over that. We're laying back. If you want a pillow, go ahead and grab something as well. Close your eyes, take a deep inhale and hold it. Exhale, let it go. So this quote is by Roy Bennett. Patience is not the ability to wait. Patience is to be calm no matter what happens. Constantly take action to turn it to positive growth opportunities and have faith to believe that it will all work out in the end while you are waiting. So we keep coming back to this adjective that we have to have when we're talking about patience, and that's calm. I referenced the Bhagavad Gita. I think that the main theme about action versus inaction isn't that one is more important than the other. Let me say that again. Isn't that one is more important than the other? It's more about being able to see inaction in action as well as action in inaction. Okay, and that was a mouthful. It was quite a mouthful for me to say. So right now you're in an inactive pose, but there's still breath. There's still subtle movement. There's still circulation. There's still the heart beating. And then think about this. You know, we went to plank earlier and I gave you an option of how you wanted to do it. You ever challenged yourself and kind of tried to see how long you could hold the plank for? Do you ever get to a point when you're holding a pose like that or you're doing a hard workout where there's this awareness that all of a sudden it just got really hard and really real? But for me, if I can settle into a place of calm that is almost outside of that, then I find I have this other reserve of, I don't know if you'd call it energy, but is it a reserve of patience? Is it a reserve of, I don't know, fortitude to continue holding that pose, to continue pushing through? So holding plank beyond the point where you want to stop, to me, that would be recognizing and finding the calm in it would be finding the inaction amidst a very active pose. And so that's what we're looking for. That's what the Bhagavad Gita suggests. And that's where we get back to this idea of, while patience may look calm on the outside, and we're hoping we have the key to success and found and achieved patience on, or calm on the inside, it is a very active behavior. So as you lie in this restorative pose, I want you to think about maybe the last time you remember distinctly calling upon your patience. How did you do that? What did it feel like? Were you able to set aside attachment to the outcome and just sit back and wait? Deep inhale through the nose, hold the breath. Hold it. All right, big exhale. Now, empty out the lungs completely. Slow, deep inhale, fill the lungs. Hold it. Be patient. Don't struggle. Don't struggle wanting to let go. Find that place of calm. Now exhale. All right, go ahead. Hug the knees into the heart. I'm going to let the left foot come back down to land on my prop. I'm going to stretch that right leg to the ceiling. And then, if you can, let go of that right leg. If it needs your help, keep helping it. Go ahead and point through the ankle. And then in cursive, you're going to write the word patience on the ceiling. Don't forget to go back and cross the T, dot the I. When you're done, reflex the foot. Just hold the leg there. And then go ahead and bring that right foot back down. Send the left leg up. Point through the ankle. Same thing. In cursive, the word patience. If you don't know how to write in cursive, link your letters. And when you're done, you'll reflex that foot. Just hold the leg there. Inhale. Exhale, slowly set that left foot back down. Stretch the legs back out over that prop. Widen out the feet to the edges of the mat. Release the arms. Make sure you're comfortable. Yes, we're heading into a Shavasana, corpse pose. Get those shoulder blades underneath you. And so as you settle back, relinquishing the body to the earth, perhaps you're thinking, well, the Shavasana came sooner than usual. Well, yeah, it did, because this is a theme on patience. And I didn't want to push your patience with Shavasana. I wanted to award you with Shavasana. Because there has to be a reason that we learn and really put forth that effort to find the calm when we are detaching from, an end result and trying to invoke patience. And so settling back and letting go of all of that. Breathing in the French definition, which is success. And breathing in the Norwegian and Polish translation, which is secret knowledge. I mean, doesn't that resonate with the breath? Knowing how to use breath work is like having the secret knowledge, right? The breath work helps with anxiety. It helps bring you to the present. So that means it helps with worry as well, and fear and all those things, right? The breath is a secret knowledge. Breathing in, patience. And then exhale, succumbing to this idea that you are solitary on your mat, that it is just you. It has always been just you, and it always will be. Now, having said that, I feel like I can hear an argument off in the distance, but wait, there's partner yoga. Absolutely. And there's also double solitaire, where you're playing with and against somebody, but still on your own. And so essentially, it always comes back to our inner self, recognizing that Atman inside. So breathing in that patience. Exhale, letting go, being okay to be inactive and alone on the mat. This is all about you. You'll hear my voice when it's time to come back out of Shavasana. you are also a solitaire player. You know there are hundreds of different versions of solitaire games, and each one has its own name. And so I'm about to name drop a few of them on you to further get across our theme and wrap this all up. Do not allow it to take a decade, which is a solitaire game, to remember or learn how to use your patience, because you may find yourself in the midst of another solitaire title called Hurricane, and your choices then may be Limited, which is also another solitaire game. Instead, use your memory, of course, another game, to use patience as a strategy, yes, another name for solitaire. And you might find instead of a hurricane, you experience a jubilee, which may lead to shamrocks and the ultimate wish. All names of, you guessed it, different solitaire games. Take a deep breath in. Give me a loud exhale. Invite some movement back into the body. And when you're ready, roll to a side in a fetal position. When you're ready, gently push your way back into a seated pose. Deep breath in. Cleansing exhale. You grab that next inhale and take the arms up, sweep up all of that secret knowledge we have accumulated and pull it all in towards the heart. Breathing in, success. The light in me bows to the light in you. And when I'm in that place in me and you're in that place in you, then we become one. Namaste.